Happy Sunday evening to every one of you patriot-loving, freedom, Second Amendment supporting, passing on to the next generation Americans. I hope you're having a great night. Tonight, we're going to talk about the ATF's case, at least as it's presented in this article, because if this is truly what their case is against FRTs and bump stocks and ghost guns and all the things, including pistol braces, they are so screwed because it's not even a leap. This is kind of laughable. But everything will be linked in the description box below, and I cannot wait to hear what you guys think about this one, because this article that we're about to cover does a really good job of explaining why and how the ATF is basically exploding past their boundaries in order of perception, and this is a very key point to understand. Now, as we go through this, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. Distributing freedom twice daily is what we are about, and we would love to have you along for the ride. So what we're going to talk about tonight is the ATF's approach in handling FRTs, pistol braces, all of these pieces, but specifically the FRTs. Now, these are forced reset triggers. Without getting too far into the weeds, basically it automatically resets the trigger so you can fire again. That's what the thing does. It avoids the definition of a machine gun because you are actually releasing the trigger and it's forcing the reset. That's what the entire point is. Well, the ATF made these illegal. In fact, you've seen lots of things on the internet about ATF agents going door to door, getting the FRTs, inquiring about the FRTs, seizing FRTs from the company's inventory. This is all based in a perception of interpretation. That's what we're about to dive into. And honestly, if this is where they're going, they're screwed. Are forced reset triggers illegal machine guns? ATF and gun rights advocates are at odds in court fights. Now, this article came out today, and this is why it was so interesting, because the way they broke it down, including some of the pieces from the court, or not from the court, from the actual perception of the ATF, the perspective of the ATF, they're going to lose. And if you lose on one of these, you lose on all of these. Check this out. The forced reset triggers so concerned the ATF that it ordered the company making them to halt sales only months after they began in 2020 selling them, declaring the devices illegal machine guns. Listen to what an attorney actually says. Again, they're interpreting the NFA, the National Firearms Act, okay? Quote, the defendants are illegally selling machine guns, plain and simple, with conversion devices that transform AR-15 type rifles into even more lethal weapons suited for battlefields, not our communities. Breon Peace, the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, said when the sued Rarebreed Triggers in January, accusing the company of fraud. Now, this is the key part. If you're not familiar or not too in-depth with the details and nuance of this case, this is the piece, and the article actually does a good job, so hat tip to the article. But listen, both the bump stock and the forced reset legal battles involve how to apply the National Firearms Act of 1934, a law passed in part to try to curb gangland violence as modified in 1968 and 1986. Now, this is the key point. This is all based on interpretation and definition. That's what this entire thing is about. In fact, the law bars the public from owning machine guns, which are defined as firearms capable of firing more than one shot without manually reloading by a single pull of the trigger, or any part that converts a weapon into a machine gun. Again, that single pull of the trigger piece. This is the part where, and this is the whole point of the video, if the ATF is truly making the argument that I'm about to share with you, and they're going to bring this into court, they are going to lose hands down, because it's a simple definition. It is a statutory definition. But they're interpreting it how they want by framing it from a different perspective. Sound familiar? Bicycles and the pistol brace thing, or the ghost gun thing? They always do this. Check this out. On the firing range, guns equipped with either bump stocks or force reset triggers certainly look and sound like machine guns. In court filings, the ATF said testing on the FRT-15 triggers showed their rate of fire can meet or exceed the military's M16 machine gun, which can fire 700 to 970 rounds a minute. Do you know any 970 bullet or magazine or beta mag or drum mag? Do you know anything of that nature? Do you guys walk around with AR-15 belt feds? No, you don't. They're throwing this number out to show you the rate of fire, but that's not what the statute says. The entire point is you are releasing and you are putting the trigger. If I can do this faster than 1,000 rounds per minute, well, sounds like I'm a machine gun. And that's the point. That's why it's so dumb, because they're going around these definitions that are clear and they are obvious, and they're trying to score political wins for their leash holders in the White House. They're going to get destroyed on this, because the point is not how fast can it fire, because again, the person can squeeze the trigger pretty fast as well. It's about the definition of machine gun, and that's why they're going after FRTs. Check this out. But under the law, the key to whether a part turns a weapon into a machine gun isn't the rate of fire, but whether or not multiple rounds can be fired with a single pull of the trigger. And that's the crux of the issue. They cannot with FRTs. It is impossible to prove that is a machine gun, just like a piece of metal with an etched drawing on it in Matt Hoover's case. That is not a machine gun. The entire point here is they are trying to claim everything that has the potential to be higher volume of fire as a machine gun, and that's simply not the case. It's statutorily defined in the Firearms Act of 1934. They are trying to rewrite congressional laws. Again, we circle back to executive bureaucracies overstepping their bounds and writing laws in place of Congress by redefining terms. This is exactly what's happening. If you see this across the board, FRTs, ghost guns, pistol braces, any of it, bump stocks, one of these things falls, they all fall because they're all based on an interpretation of a changing definition. That's why this is so massive and we cover it so much. One more thing for you, just to remind you of what they've done so far. Here's what the ATF says. The ATF says constant finger pressure on the FRT-15 trigger will keep a rifle firing like an automatic. And the fact that the trigger is moving doesn't make it legal. They literally just said it doesn't matter what the definition of machine gun is, it fires quick. They're stepping outside of their bounds. And just to remind you of this little nougat, the ATF has also been asking people who bought the force reset triggers to voluntarily turn them over to the agency. Again, usurping the power of Congress. They are not machine guns. By definition, they are not machine guns. But because an executive bureaucracy wants something to flex so that the leash holders in the White House can campaign and make more political hay, that makes it a little gross. And that's what I've got for you guys. If they lose one of these, the entire house of cards falls down. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.